So over the last few days, I've been playing around more with the new Matchless amp models that came out in the CorOs 2.1 release. And I thought it might be worthwhile to go through a couple that I've created where I'm combining some of those amp models. So this one here is a dual stereo preset that I actually created during the video I did, just doing a quick run through of all the amps that are new to the release. What we've got here is a D30, the channel 1 model, and I'm combining that with the what is the Matchless Chieftain. And each one is running through the cabinet that goes with the new amp model. And then on the back end, I've got some simple pieces here where I've got a nice plate lush reverb, I've got a mono tape delay, and then I've got a couple pedals up front that we'll check out. I'm using the Exotic Z Boost and the Blues Driver. One thing I'll mention is if we go to the CPU monitor, these new Matchless amps take up a lot of CPU, especially considering, they don't have a lot of controls to them, but they really take up a lot of CPU compared to some of the other amps. Just something I've noticed and something to keep in mind. So let's check out just the two amps combined on their own. And in this preset, I'm in stomp mode. I've got one amp and cabinet hooked up to this and one hooked up to this. I like to do that when I'm combining amps and presets because it allows me to kind of work each amp individually. So the channel 1 D3 sounds like this. And then here's the Chieftain. And here there's a little bit of grit on the Chieftain, but not a lot. And when you combine them, it sounds like this. A nice kind of full clean tone. Maybe if you really dig in, you might get a little bit of grit, but that's kind of hidden in there. It just kind of makes it sound fuller, real clear, good sustain to it. I'm really liking it. One of the things I like about the new Matchless amp models is the dynamic sensitivity to the pick attack is really nice. And so I've got a couple pedals up front. So we've got the boost here, which is basically an RC booster, which just gives a nice, you can see here, I'm not pushing it too much. I rolled off a little bit of treble and I pushed in the volume a little bit. So it just kind of adds a little bit more, a little bit of grit. It's just adding a little bit of grit to it. That nice dynamic pick attack is still there. I'm really enjoying it. And then the other one I added here is Blues Driver. So a little more gain on this one. And then you can even combine them if you want and get more gain. So that's the dual preset, and both of these presets are available on the Cortex Cloud if you want to grab them. So then I had an idea, hey, what if I tried to create a preset that was using all three of the Matchless amp models? And so what I've got here is a preset I'm calling Triple Matchless. And let me go through the structure here. So we've got a couple overdrive pedals up in front. We'll talk about that in a second. And then I'm splitting off. And the main path is using channel 2 of the D30 into its matching cabinet, and then a very light amount of room reverb just to give it a little bit there, but keep it mostly dry. And then the split is going down to row 3, where I'm doing basically that dual preset I was doing before. I'm splitting off. I've got channel 1 and the Chieftain, and I've got a delay and reverb, a little more delay and reverb. So this is the wet. So it's a little bit of a wet, dry, wet kind of thing going on here. So these are panned a little bit left and right. This one's down the center. And then I also added a vibrato on the end just for some color, just to play around with. Again, we've got the amps and cabs hooked into their own switches here. So if we just hear the channel 2, you can hear there's a good amount of grit there. And then we've got the channel 1, which is clean. And then we've got the Chieftain, which is pretty clean. When we combine them, it sounds like this. So a nice full, it kind of adds, there's a little more grit there than on the last preset, and there's a little more bite to it. And if we add in the vibrato, so kind of a nice vibrato chorusy effect. And then for the pedals on the front, again, we've got our boost. And then I went with an OD1 here. And so we'll hear what these sound like. So with the boost, again, really nice kind of touch sensitivity and dynamics, but with a little more grit to it. And then with the OD1, I mean, a lot more gain here. But I think the OD1 with this kind of real smooth overdrive character kind of fits with the Voxy Matchless kind of amps pretty well. It's nice and smooth. And then you can use both together. So like I said, both these presets are on the Cortex Cloud. Feel free to download them, play around with them, and enjoy. Thanks.